With the recent news of Lucasfilm Games being revived by Disney after 31 years, I couldn't help but think of the potential for Star Wars games in the future. EA's exclusivity rule for Star Wars games ends in 2023, so that means Lucasfilm Games has a variety of developers to work on their future projects. These are my 10 Star Wars games that Lucasfilm Games needs to bring back. Number 10, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 3. KOTOR is one of my favorite all-time RPGs, period. With not having played the entirety of KOTOR 2 though, I've heard it's a solid sequel even if it wasn't finished and had cut content from the game. KOTOR 3 was in development at some point with having a story attached to it, with having the player traveling to the outskirts of the unknown regions behind Revan and essentially going after the Sith. There have been rumors within the past year of Obsidian working on a possible remake for Knights of the Republic, so I hope it could be either that and the KOTOR 3 we've always wanted and deserved, albeit maybe ignoring some of the MMO The Old Republic's lore. Another Obsidian KOTOR game would be amazing. Number 9, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Star Wars Racer was a major hit back on the Nintendo 64, and personally I have never played it because I didn't own a Nintendo 64 back then. This high-octane racer was everything I could have ever wanted out of a Star Wars racing game, and it's even been released again on the newer consoles, but this could open the door for a possible new entry in the genre. With Star Wars Squadrons, EA has proven that smaller focused Star Wars titles can and do work, so a new title could feature more than just pod racing, speeder bike racing, and other strange vehicles with next generation visuals, sound, and physics could make for a truly special racing addition to Star Wars. Number 8, Star Wars Project RAGTAG. Project RAGTAG is one of the few titles cancelled in 2017 that was headed by Amy Hennig and the studio Visceral Games. It apparently featured you, the player, as a Han Solo-like scoundrel character and taking place between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. The style of game was comparable to a cinematic third-person like Uncharted with different set pieces and gameplay elements like flying. The game was unfortunately cancelled by EA, and it sounded like it would have fit very well alongside another game on this list. It might no longer be an option to revive the game due to the studio's closure, but maybe Lucasfilm Games can see the potential that it was, scrap what it can, and start over. Number 7, Star Wars Empire at War. RTS games have never been a stranger to the Star Wars franchise. Galactic Battlegrounds, Force Commander, and Rebellion live in the same genre, but Empire at War by Petrolift Games was ahead of its time in terms of RTS games. It gave you ground combat and a completely separate space combat with just as much depth. Empire at War is one of my personal favorite RTS games and was popular enough to get its own expansion, Forces of Corruption, and countless mods. Maybe Lucasfilm Games can delve back into RTS even if it's not as popular as it once was. Star Wars would be perfect for the genre's return. Number 6, Star Wars First Assault. Star Wars First Assault was a multiplayer-only focused game set in the original trilogy era. Gameplay shows it taking a Call of Duty-like approach to its gameplay as opposed to the arcadey gameplay of Battlefront. It was noticeably more gritty and serious, but was unfortunately cancelled after the closure of LucasArts. This is another title that surely could be brought back in some manner by Lucasfilm Games as a smaller Squadrons-like experience. I love Battlefront, but I've wanted a more serious shooter from the Star Wars universe, so I would hope Lucasfilm Games makes this happen at some point. Number 5, Star Wars Darth Maul. Another game that suffered the fate of cancellation after the LucasArts closure was a Darth Maul game codenamed Damage, along with another title that was circulating was Battle of the Sith Lords, was set to come out in the 7th console generation. Developed by Red Flash Studio, this game had you playing as the underrated Darth Maul, pitting you with Darth Talon against Darth Krayt and his Sith army. The lead gameplay looked pretty amazing for being early in development, and similar to the Force Unleashed, it was most likely still an alpha. Red Flag is apparently currently working on resurrecting the game. With Lucasfilm Games' help, this title could finally see the light of day. A story taking place during the Clone Wars with Maul's many adventures with Savage Opress could be the game we finally need. Number 4, Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Star Wars Bounty Hunter back on the GameCube was a game I put countless hours into because of its gameplay mechanics and the various weaponry and abilities you had at your disposal. The game tells the story of Jango Fett and why he became the template for the clones and what leads up to that. You can go around levels hunting down different bounties, exploring different locations, and fighting various creatures. Sadly, this game is no longer canon, but Lucasfilm Games could bring this title back to fit the canon of the current Star Wars universe. Number 3, Star Wars Republic Commando 2/Imperial Commando. Star Wars Republic Commando was a gem of a game. On the original Xbox, this game set its focus on a clone squadron of commandos known as Delta Squad, going on covert missions in different locales with a story that was canon of the Clone Wars. The ending of the game was left on a cliffhanger and made it open for a sequel. That sequel was supposed to be Republic Commando 2 or even Imperial Commando. It was cancelled due to LucasArts rebooting itself. This would have been a good sequel for the game, especially taking place during the Empire's reign and showing a side of the Empire we've never seen before at the time. This is another game Lucasfilm needs to keep in the back of their mind as far as first-person narrative shooters go if they are ever to go in the FPS route for another Star Wars game. Number 2, Star Wars Jedi Academy. This is one of my favorite all-time Jedi simulators in any kind of Star Wars game you could imagine. Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast were the best third-person games that have you playing as a Jedi while also having first and third-person shooting mechanics. You had the best of both mechanics, and the Force abilities were always fun, to where I spent countless hours just messing around in the levels, choking stormtroopers over edges to fall to their death or giving them the good shock treatment. You had the ability to choose out of a set of levels in any order you chose to, and you gained skill points which you could put into light and dark side powers. What these games did was so special because of the lightsaber mechanics. The lightsabers could be dual-wielded, or even a double-bladed variant was an option. Different stances and styles had different swing speeds and animations, and you could do a few flourishy tricks if you knew the right button combinations. The game is still played today, and the popular mod Movie Battles 2 has kept the game alive for years now and has added characters, levels, and mechanics that makes it a completely different game. If Lucasfilm Games ever wants to revisit this game or any game featuring a lightsaber, this game needs to come back, as it was the best game of its time and it still lives up to its reputation. At number 1, the game Lucasfilm Games needs to bring back above anything else is Star Wars 1313. 1313 was shaping up to be the most demanded, magnificent title to come out of LucasArts before its closure. This game was set during Boba Fett's early days of navigating the level 1313 on Coruscant. This game looked to be pushing many of the gameplay elements that were seen in games like Uncharted at the time, with epic set pieces and visuals way ahead of its time that still look great today. The Star Wars franchise took its biggest hit when this game was canceled, and a lot of fans lost its faith in Disney after this, and so many other titles that were canceled and not picked up by them kind of killed any hope for anything decent to come out of Disney as far as Star Wars games go. Lucasfilm Games might be able to pick this game back up, but it may not be the same title you remember seeing at E3 all those years ago. The Mandalorian has been dominating the Star Wars space with great praise, so it's possible the Mandalorian's success could put interest back into a Boba Fett game. That concludes the main list, but I have 2 honorable mentions that didn't make the list, but I think should also be brought back. Star Wars Battlefront 3. Battlefront 3 by Free Radical Games pushed the envelope on the prior 2 games with all airs, more content, and its biggest mechanic of the series, ground-to-space combat, but it was unfortunately cancelled. Battlefront 2 by EA and DICE is a great game that started out rough. It definitely could have used more content, but at its end it's still a great game, and it's unknown if EA will try to make Battlefront 3 before the exclusivity deal is over in 2023, but if not, then Lucasfilm Games could appoint another developer to finally make the Battlefront 3 fans deserve. Star Wars The Force Unleashed. The Force Unleashed was a God of War-like epic hack-and-slash game that featured powers and combat only possible within the expanded universe. With the second title being a massive disappointment and a third one out of the question, a more grounded Force Unleashed game could be a different type of Jedi-focused game, perhaps a fighting game, a hero multiplayer game, something. Lucasfilm Games should try something entirely different or similar while also staying true to the new canon of the franchise. Starkiller as a character is someone I would like to see them revisit officially in the canon at some point. These were 10 Star Wars games Lucasfilm Games needs to bring back or revive. I don't think there will be any shortage of Star Wars games in the future, but it also doesn't mean they can't revisit some old concepts and bring them back to life. LucasArts was able to make some great Star Wars games, so with this rebranded, revived Lucasfilm Games, the galaxy is the limit for Star Wars projects. Are you guys excited about Lucasfilm Games coming back? What games would you like to see them bring back? Let me know in the comments, I'm genuinely curious. Thank you all for watching, and peace for now.